Hello and welcome back to Read Becca. This is my weekly catch-up on everything I read, everything I'm currently reading, and everything I'm looking forward to reading. So let's jump right into the books for this week. So I read an advanced copy of Ogres by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this is a novella. I would say I'm going to do a full review on this, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but for our purposes here, I did really enjoy it. I think my experience with this one was kind of similar to In the Watchful City last week, where I went in kind of expecting a little bit of a lighter read. I went in expecting a lot more action, and it does have that, but more or less this ended up being one I had to really grapple with the text to kind of get everything out of it, because this is a pretty brutal novella. It's really a thinly veiled slavery narrative. So there's a lot to take away from this in terms of the commentary that it's making, in terms of the themes that it's engaging with about slavery and genetics and capitalism, both things that tie to the past as well as to the future. So I enjoyed this one a lot, and as I said, I will have a standalone review of it coming soon. Then I read a children's book, Every Little Kindness by Marta Bartolj, and this one is really lovely. It pretty much served exactly what I was hoping for. So we have this woman who is very sad because her dog is missing, so she is putting together posters to take to the park to put up. And while she's at the park, she does an act of kindness and gives an apple to this man there. And other people see that, and then they just carry on. It connects through in a chain all the way until, in the end, that chain finds its way back to her with a man who helps her find her dog. So it's a really beautiful book. As you can see, there's no text. So I enjoyed the art in terms of it has this really gentle, muted palette, you can tell. I really like that style, but I think it's so imaginative when stories are told without using words, just through pictures. It really takes a lot of innovation to do that, even when it's something as simple as this. So I read through this a couple times this week and really enjoyed it. I got exactly what I was hoping for when I picked it up. So this was a great, very effective little children's book. And the last thing that I finished this week was Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore. This one was from my TBR, so I'm very happy to have finished this one up. And I enjoyed it a lot, but I have kind of mixed feelings on it. Mainly because I think coming into this from my last previous thriller being The Sundown Motel, and that one having been just such a hit for me, this didn't quite live up to that. But I'm mainly mixed on this because the things I liked, I really, really liked, and the things I didn't like, I just really strongly disliked. So this is about this woman, Lydia, and it's only from her perspective, but it's not told entirely in a linear fashion. So we start with her being this bookseller who works at the Bright Ideas Bookstore, and midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore refers to them preparing to close up at midnight, which seems awfully late to me for a bookstore, but whatever, suspension of disbelief. And she finds one of her patrons hanging in the bookstore. This is a young man who was maybe troubled, but he had become part of what she called the book frogs, which were men who were homeless or retired, people who didn't really have anywhere to go. They were kind of transient in their lives, and they grouped up at this bookstore. They became regulars and spent their days there, sometimes being unusual and odd, but there was some affection between the quirky booksellers that worked there and these collection of book frogs. And so this man was younger than her, and that's important because when she finds the body, obviously she's horribly traumatized and disturbed by it, but she discovers a picture of herself as a child in his pocket. And this is someone who was not alive at the time when she was a child, who couldn't have possibly known her at the time. So she doesn't know how he got this picture. And this picture took place at her birthday party right before something incredibly traumatic happened to her in her childhood. So that sets off this incredible investigation that she does really into why he had this picture. And that starts bringing back memories of this trauma from her childhood because she hadn't really been thinking about it for all these years. I think that this did an incredible job of showing us by jumping through time, both from the current revealing of information as she's uncovering it and jumping back into the experiences leading up to this really traumatic occurrence in her childhood. It showed us the character growth. So this had an incredibly compelling and well-drawn characters and relationships between characters, and especially her relationship with her father. We can see that develop and change drastically over time through these things. So I thought the richness and depth to the characters was really there. That worked for me very well. The thriller plot worked for me very, very well. The things that didn't work for me, sometimes the tone with certain characters, especially the male characters, I think, just kind of didn't sit with me well. I don't know how otherwise to express that. But this also had a lot of unlikable characters, including our main character, to where she does things that just really seemed like a problem, and I think was driven by this traumatic past. So Lydia, for instance, has a boyfriend in this, but he doesn't seem to exist there for any reason other than for her to treat him badly. And he is kind of the one really likable character in this. So that just, I didn't like that. This wouldn't have had any impact for him to not exist, for her to be single. And for her being single, it would have resolved that for me quite a bit. He seemed to exist there to create conflict that wasn't necessary to the larger plot. The other thing was moments where she's meant to play out her emotions, but it's kind of at the expense of others. And I didn't really like that at all either. As a character, I found her very naive. That was definitely a problem for me as well. Specifically about the things to do with her childhood and everything that had gone on with this traumatic event and her general life, really. She seems to have maybe blocked out some of it, but it goes beyond that. So I just really didn't appreciate that naivety. It was not to the level of like Too Stupid to Live, where she was completely missing the obvious, but yeah, she just hadn't thought about things that should have been very apparent, that anyone who had something on their mind for, 20 years would have thought through at least a little bit. So yeah, I didn't buy into that. So it was very mixed bag for me on this one. I did find it was very cool that there are sections that are set up kind of unusually. So like this. So you'll have to read it and figure out what that is. So this is one that I really enjoyed reading, even though it was a mixed read. It was super entertaining and compelling to read. I definitely enjoyed the mystery to this one. So liked it. I don't think it was anything super duper memorable, but I think the bookstore atmosphere definitely was a winner for this. And that's what I finished this week. And what I've got in progress, I've got several things. So the ongoing, I finished part 1 in the Fall of Babel finally. And you know what that means if you've read it. So man, oh man, boy, was that compelling to read. I am so loving this. It's everything that I have loved about this series. I'm so glad to be back into this world. Then the book pile fell. So then I'm reading Antigone Rising and Super Shiny by Helen Morales. I am really enjoying this. This is kind of more like pop history. I don't know if I should say that because it is very well cited. Lots of references in here, but it's really pacey. And yeah, really, really liking this one. And then I started and am mostly reading on audio Children of Virtue and Vengeance. This is the second book in whatever the Children of Blood and Bone series is by Tomi Adeyemi, and I'm very mixed on this. I don't know if I'm going to finish it because it has hit on a couple things. Initially, it started out doing things that improved greatly on the first book and kind of negated all the problems that I had with the first book, and then it sort of has leaned hard back into the stuff that I didn't like from the first book. So we'll see if I continue this on this coming week. I don't know if I'm going to. So that's everything that I have going. So as usual, big reading week. Other bookish stuff that's going on is very exciting. I got my BookTube prize judging stuff, so that will be coming up. I'm in translated fiction, yay, that was what I was going for, category F. So my 6 books have been assigned. I did take a look, and fortunately I can get 4 of them from the library, so I've got orders in for my other 2 that I had to buy, and my library has been closed. We've been snowed in, so I didn't place my holds for the books I need to get, and I'll be doing that today. It looks like it shouldn't be too bad. I've got mostly kind of short books, but I have 2 that are 400 pages, which is not huge for me, but for translated work, that tends to be pretty long, and they can be very dense. So we'll see. I think I'm going to try to get ahead of it by reading at least one of those early as soon as I possibly can. So hopefully I will be getting one of those in the next week. And trying to get through those as quickly as possible is going to be what's coming in my upcoming reading for sure. So in other bookish news that we had recently, I saw that the Caldecott and Newbery Awards were announced. So the Caldecott went to Watercress, which is a book that I had read last year and really enjoyed. I will try and find and link the video where I showed that one down below, but that is a children's picture book award for the quality of art, and I thought it was a fantastic book. The other one is the Newbery, and that went to The Last Quintista, which is one that is high on my radar because I saw Shannon from That So Poe read it recently and really enjoyed it, and I think it's a middle grade sci-fi, which is pretty unusual. And then I just, like yesterday, I think I saw Angela from Literature Science Alliance also read it and really enjoyed it. So that's one I definitely want to pick up. I don't know if I'm going to get to it before I'm finished with this round of BookTube prize, but we'll see. We'll see if I have time for a mid-grade in there. Yeah, so I think that's bookish news that's going on. The other life stuff that's going on is just snow. Literally, I've just been snowed in for the past couple days. We had insane rain. It literally was 60 on Tuesday and started pouring rain overnight. It dropped quite a lot, I think down into below freezing by a significant amount, and turned into freezing rain, completely iced everything up, and then started sleeting and snowing on top of that. So we got a couple of inches of snow over top of ice, and everything shut down in the area. And then the next day we got a second wave and ended up with another 8 or 10 inches of snow on top of all of that. So it just has been brutally cold since then as well, like down in single digits for the most part. So it's been really, really brutal. It's starting to kind of melt off and refreeze because of how cold it is. So it's just turning into like slush and then hard ice, just solid ice. So it's very rough out there. I am gonna have to go out and get some cat food for my foster because he is really out of food. I tried to pick up some before everything shut down, and I got as much as they could give me at the time, and unfortunately we are out. So I think the roads are pretty clear for the most part. It's going to just be my little neighborhood road is a little bit rough, but not too bad. I'm hoping, it's very sunny out, that will hopefully have melted it off in another couple of hours so I can get there safely and back into my warm, cozy house. So I mean, there hasn't otherwise been very much going on life-wise, just enjoying the snow and being cozy at home. The doggo is not very happy about it, so we'll throw in some footage of that. In terms of recommendations this week, I had a couple of recommendations, but I didn't feel very strongly about any of them when I was coming down to this. So I'm going to just shout out a couple of BookTube channels that I've really been enjoying lately. So the first 2 are returning channels that have been off for quite a while for some of their cases. The first one I'm going to say is Kitty G, who I've really enjoyed and took a break to have a baby. And she reads mainly, I think, epic fantasy. So it won't be for everybody. I really enjoy her as someone that I like to follow for that because she does read a lot of stuff that isn't on everyone's radar. Like most of the epic fantasy channels that you see. She used to be a judge for the self-published fantasy blog off. I think she was the first YouTube channel to do that judging. And so I really, really enjoy her for that. The next one is Bookshanks. They were formerly Book Axe. It's a couples channel, and they've been off for long enough that they left before I started my actual channel. I used to be, you know, a frequent follower of them on my personal account, and I've obviously since started a channel of my own, and I just enjoy their style so much. They talk very widely about all types of books, and the couple have kind of distinct interests, but they're both so dynamic and animated without having those like crazy loud personalities you can get on BookTube. So they have a great analytical style in talking about books as well. Both of them do. So I really enjoy Bookshanks, and highly recommend you check out both of those returning channels. So the other two channels that I would point you to are new to me channels, or fairly new. They are both people who are like professionally bookish or have been lifelong book lovers. They both have a passion for nature and animals, I think, from what I can tell. They both also read very broadly, similar to myself. They read every type of book, and they read extremely diversely in terms of the voices that they're highlighting. So I just am enjoying all of their content. And the first one is Sue's Book Nook, who is apparently a veteran booktuber that has had a channel for 10 years, and I somehow am just finding it, and I'm absolutely loving all of the content there. And the other one is a very new booktuber, Lindy's Magpie Reads, who was a guest on Sean the Book Maniac from time to time, but has finally made the jump into having a dedicated channel. And all of that content has been absolutely wonderful. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, those are some new booktubers to me and some returning friends that I hope you will check out. So that's all there is for me this week. I will insert a bunch of snow footage after this. Hopefully you will enjoy, and hopefully everybody that is dealing with a lot of snow is staying safe and warm at home. Thank you so very much for watching. Chopped down a bunch of trees last year. And yay, they are planting new ones today, right before a big snowstorm. We weren't supposed to get any accumulation for another couple hours, but looks like we started. It's coming down pretty good. Everybody in the house was acting weird extra early, so I had to get up and feed them. Took Cinnamon out already. So we're supposed to get this for another 2 days. Look at those birds. Oh, poor babies. Rue is very adamant that when the door opens, he wants to check out the snow. Every year, the first snow this happens. We will take him out in a little bit, and not while I'm taking out Cinnamon. Huh. Yeah. Cinnamon is not a fan of this. Fortunately, this is the first wave that turned into sleet and snow overnight. So you can see this thing is frozen solid. Well, he made it as far as the mat. That weird stuff? Huh? Are you touching that weird stuff? What is it? Huh? What is that? What is it? It's cold stuff on your body. Pretty chilly out there, bud. Is that not very good? Are you done? Yep, and we're done. Day number 2. I'm about to go shovel a path for Cinnamon. It's looking like we're up to maybe 6 inches at this point, and it's supposed to snow all day. So, poor Cinnamon, he's gonna have tough times. It's not anywhere near as bad as people have it on the East Coast, but man, oh man. Well, I shoveled the path. We didn't make it far. What's he doing, Rue? I think he's looking for his dinner. did find his dinner. Good job, Mr. Squirrel.